Hello, Natalia Vladimirovna. Hello. With your permission, I want to talk now about the personal life, about what concerns each person and worries everyone. People from all over the world come to you for personal consultations. These are millions of people who really come to you as the last resort of hope, where having heard the recommendations that you give, they begin to obediently or not really change their lives. Now the program is for all our viewers around the world. So I want to ask you, does personal life depend only on a person himself? Or is there a plan, a decision that is given from above? I would say both are true. It depends on each person, because each person makes his own choice, and of course, this is the intention of the higher forces, the Creator, the higher mind, because a human being on this planet goes through the stages of his growth and evolution. But how will he grow if he has no experience? And personal life includes a certain stage, experience, which of course gives either growth to a person or vice versa degradation. Your students are really a new community on the planet. They are special people who are engaged in spiritual development. They are given experience on their way not for the purpose of destruction, but for the purpose of creation. But sometimes there are difficulties in this experience. Why is this happening, Natalia Vladimirovna? They are taught, they need to be taught how to teach a person only by giving him some experience. But when conducting consultations, I see that the person himself wanted this experience. He wanted it subconsciously, not consciously. He chose it without understanding how he did it. Therefore, each person has exactly what he needs to go through and what is his task. Even when a person goes through difficulties, this is also necessary. People grow through difficulties and they need to be loved. Why do spiritual people say that you need to love both good and evil equally? Because both this and that bring a person a certain process and the level of his development and self-improvement, the disclosure of his own nature in him. To have a life order, well-being for each person is the highest value, but unfortunately not everyone has it. Well-being in life is when you can tell with full responsibility, I am a happy person, I love and I am loved, I have everything necessary for life, and I have enough strength, resources and energy for everything. Natalia Vladimirovna, how important is it for a spiritual person to have order in life and not engaged in self-deception? This is the most important thing for every person, and even more so for a self-developing person. I would even say so. It is even an indicator of his level of development. And many people lack the will and self-confidence to bring order to their lives. Watching the world, watching people, I see that there are very few happy families and very little love in these families. Often these are some kind of self-serving relationships that last for years and decades, and sometimes people even leave this world having such difficult relationships. And I wonder why? What for? Why do you need to be with someone you don't love? Why do something you don't like? Why suffer when you can breathe freely and calmly? I see that many people lack the will, lack inner intention and self-confidence in order to put an end to such painful relationships and start new relationships when they are needed, and start them not from some mercantile interests, but at the call of their souls, at the call of their feelings, thoughts and desires. But the world is now so delusional that many people do not even know how to do the right thing. And many do not have the strength for these right actions. A spiritual person, first of all, must put things in order in his personal life as well. And for this, you need to be resolute, aspiring, and self-confident. You need to trust the Creator, to trust God. When a person trusts, he will always be decisive, and he will not pull the cat's tail. There is such a saying. He will take decisive, correct steps, realizing that this is also beneficial not only to him, but to his soulmate, who was once one with him. Each person gains his own experience. One person already deserves to be loved and love. Another person lives in fear that her husband will leave her, in fear that she will be without money, in fear that she is ugly, in fear that nobody loves her. So this is already easy in a person. Why wait for this? If a person feels it and experiences it, he or she already has it. If such a woman has this inside, even a loving husband will not endure this state. He will not stand it. He will put an end to it and say, I can't do this anymore. And so many people lack a certain determination to put an end to such relationships. My friends, if you have a family and there is jealousy in it, there is distrust, there is misunderstanding, there are grievances that you cannot forgive each other, this is no longer a family. The family is always understanding and unity. If at least one of these aspects is missing, then this is no longer a family. And to talk about some kind of happiness, that something will somehow change, maybe something will be better, this is the self-deception in which a huge number of people live. Many people engage in self-deception. They think that everything is fine, but there is no good at all. Everything is very bad there. Everything is so bad there that it is even difficult for a person to admit it to himself. And so a person drags out this situation, lives to old age, and illnesses come along with it, because life was lived incorrectly. It was in fear, in quarrels, in indignation, in misunderstanding, in disappointment, and this naturally led to illnesses. And a person leaves this world without understanding why he was born, why he got married, why he lived. Natalia Vladimirovna, you often emphasize that a spiritual person is a brave person, a determined person. Even spiritual people sometimes have the illusion that there is only one door through which they can go through and that's it. But God knows how to create a path where there was none before. How important is it to be able to put an end to the family in time, because there is a point of no return, there is such a statement, right? So how important is this for a spiritual person? Why can his wrong decisions prevent him from rising higher in spiritual ascent? It's like karma or an anchor that pulls him down. This must be understood. You are very correct. Here you need to understand. If you came and want to be happy, and want to be developed, and want to become perfect, you must be a master in everything, and in your personal life as well, and put an end as well, and correctly understand this life and everything that happens in your life. Indeed, a spiritual person is a fearless person. He understands what needs to be done and at what moment, and he takes it and does it. He is not afraid. A man in fear is a man in the matrix. He lives with entities, with illusions. His life is an illusion. His thoughts are an illusion, and even in this illusion, he may think that he is developing spiritually. This is again self-deception. Many people deceive themselves, and even in such aspects, and in this perhaps most of all. Indeed, my friends, the most important indicator of your growth is your life itself. If you are growing spiritually, then your life should be wonderful. This is an indicator of your growth and development, because development leads a person and the planet to the better, not to the worse. If development led to the worst, then it would not be expedient. In development, there are always processes of improving life, improving the internal state and family well-being. And how important it is to understand where this door to a new life is. Often, when I watch my students, I see their limitations. Limitation. They believe that there is only what they think and nothing more. My friends, your every thought is a real reality. If you have thought of something, Know that it already exists for you. Another thing is how much you believe in what you thought or do not believe. Thus, you either bring the embodiment of this reality closer or move it away from you. Each thought is not yours. It was created before you, and you simply had the opportunity to perceive this thought with your neurons and reproduce it inside yourself. By the way, this is a proven fact of your life. You don't come up with thoughts yourself. Your brain can only perceive them. Therefore, many people engaging in self-deception think up something for themselves, believe in it, force themselves to believe in it, and live in such a limited state, and do not understand what life does not unfold its possibilities for them, simply because they, even in their thoughts, do not allow themselves this. And also, my friends, I can say that in order for you to start a new stage in your life, you must resolve something with the old stage. You must put an end to the old stage. Neither can the old stage exist and the new one begins at the same time. It's impossible. A new one begins only when you put an end to your old stage of life. If you have enough strength, intentions, desires, and of course, opportunities. And another question, what is one thing for ordinary people who are not in development, then for a spiritual person it is completely different. When a spiritual person does not have well-being in personal relationships, family relationships, or in other areas of his life, some situations of a destructive nature will always ring a bell for him. And what's the peculiarity here, Natalia Vladimirovna? Why is it really necessary for spiritually developing people, for us, your students, to be honest with higher powers? And this self-deception for us is a road to nowhere. This is the path to the abyss. And if a person deceives even those greatest energies that created everything, including humans, if he even deceives this, then he should not wait not for one warning, but wait for serious trouble that will definitely point out to a person his deceit, his dishonest state. This is a serious problem among students. Not all students can truthfully admit to themselves what they need to admit. Not many students. Yes, there are those who can, but often a person somehow tries to veil this problem that exists, somehow hide it, and somehow does not pay attention to it. That is, instead of focusing on this and changing it, he somehow tries to bypass it. But this problem does not go away. It will exist as long as a person gives it the opportunity to exist, because he created it, which means that he himself must solve it. Yes, this is a problem among my students, so I consult people a lot. I work as a psychologist as well, not even as a spiritual teacher, not as a scientist, but really as a psychologist, understanding what my students need to focus on. But many, having come to me to study, realize and really take very serious, decisive actions, which very quickly lead to very serious results. And then I rejoice with them. I live with my students with my soul. I really, friends, live their lives. And indeed, I breathe this. This is my greatest happiness. The greatest happiness for me is the happiness of my students, the happiness of this planet, and the joy in this world. This is my meaning of life. I live it. I love the world. I love humanity. I so want everyone to be happy, for everyone to be in love and be loved, and that this love is with bestowal, mutual. This is my goal. This is my dream. And this is the meaning of my life. Love each other. I wish you happiness in your personal life.